I was 6 months pregnant, glowing, happy, surrounded by my closest friends and family at what was supposed to be the most joyful celebration of my life. I had my hand on my belly. I was laughing at a joke someone had made. I was in love with being pregnant. I was in love with my husband. I was in love with the life we were building together. And then my mother-in-law stood up. She walked to the front of the room, holding a beautifully wrapped box with a ribbon on top. Everyone got quiet, anticipating what was inside. Probably a onesie, a crib bedding set, maybe some baby blankets. Mothers-in-law always give the practical gifts. She smiled at me. That smile. I know now it wasn't a smile of love. It was a smile of someone about to detonate a bomb in my life. I have a very special gift for my future grandchild, she announced to the room. I think this is the most important thing I could possibly give right now. She handed me the box. I opened it, and my heart stopped. Inside, wrapped in tissue paper like it was precious, was a DNA test kit. Not the fun ancestry kind, the paternity kind. And next to it was a handwritten note that said, "So we can know for sure who the real father is." Everything went silent. The room, my lungs, my mind, all of it just stopped. I met Marcus at college. I was a junior sitting alone in the library at midnight, surrounded by textbooks and cold coffee, trying to finish a paper for a class I didn't even like. He sat down across from me without asking permission. "You look like you're about to throw that coffee cup at someone," he said. I looked up, ready to tell him to leave me alone, and I saw him. Really saw him. Dark eyes, warm smile, the kind of person who makes you feel like maybe the world isn't completely terrible. "Just having a moment," I said. "What class?" he asked. I told him. He nodded and pulled out his laptop. "I took that class last year, wrote a paper on the same topic. Want me to show you my approach?" We sat there for 3 hours. He helped me organize my thoughts, made me laugh, and made me believe that maybe, just maybe, I could get through this semester without losing my mind completely. When I finally packed up my books, he asked for my number. I gave it to him. I'm so glad I did. Marcus was patient. He was kind. He was the type of man who would text me in the middle of the day just to tell me that he was thinking about me. He would show up at my apartment with my favorite snacks when I was stressed. He remembered the little details about my life, that I was scared of thunderstorms, that I loved old movies, that my mother had passed away when I was 15, and that days around her birthday were always hard for me. He loved me in a way that felt safe, secure, real. I called Marcus from work. I told him to come home early. When he got there, I showed him the test without saying anything. He picked me up and spun me around, and he was crying. My strong, reserved husband was crying because we were having a baby. Those 9 months were magical. Marcus was attentive. He came to every doctor's appointment. He read books about pregnancy and childbirth. He talked to my belly. He told our baby about his dreams for their life together. He was going to be an amazing father. I had no doubt about that. Marcus's mother, Diana, was complicated. She loved her son fiercely, protectively even. Sometimes I felt like she saw me as a threat to their relationship, like I was stealing her son away from her. But she was nice enough. She helped with the wedding. She sent me care packages. She asked about my pregnancy regularly. On the surface, we had a fine relationship. When he proposed, 3 years after we met, on the beach at sunset, with a vintage diamond ring that had belonged to his grandmother, I said yes without hesitation. There was no part of me that doubted him. There was no part of me that questioned whether he was the right choice. We got married a year later. Small ceremony, close family only. It was perfect. And then we decided to start a family. It took us 6 months to conceive. 6 months of tracking ovulation, timing intercourse, hoping every month that this would be it. I started to worry that maybe something was wrong with me. Maybe I couldn't have children. Maybe this dream of becoming a mother was going to slip through my fingers. But then one morning, I woke up feeling nauseous. I ran to the bathroom and threw up, and I knew. I took a pregnancy test. 2 lines, positive. But there was always this underlying tension, this feeling that she was judging me, watching me, waiting for me to mess up or prove myself unworthy of being her son's wife. I remember one time early in our relationship, Marcus and I were at a family dinner. I mentioned that I had gone to a concert with a friend, just a casual night out. Diana looked at me and said, "I hope Marcus knows where you are at all times. You can never be too careful with young women these days." The implication was clear. I was the type of woman who might cheat. I was the type of woman who couldn't be trusted. Marcus had laughed it off at the time. "That's just how my mom is," he'd said. "She's protective. Don't take it personally." But I did take it personally, because it meant that no matter how faithful I was, no matter how much I loved Marcus, his mother would never fully trust me. The baby shower was supposed to be a celebration. My best friend Sarah had organized it. We decorated a rented space with pastels and balloons. About 30 people were there. My friends, some of Marcus's family, his mother, his sisters. I was wearing a pale pink dress. My belly was big and round, and I felt beautiful for the first time in months. Marcus had kissed me that morning and told me I was glowing. I felt loved. I felt secure. I felt like everything in my life was exactly as it should be. The shower was fun. We played games. We opened gifts. I got a beautiful crib, stacks of clothes, blankets, bottles, everything a new baby would need. My friends gave me heartfelt cards. Marcus's sisters hugged me and told me how excited they were to be aunts. And then Diana asked if she could say something. Everyone turned to look at her. She stood up slowly, like she was about to make an important announcement. "I want to say how proud I am of my son," she started. "And I want to welcome this new chapter of his life. But I also think before we celebrate too much, we should make sure everything is as it should be." I felt Marcus tense next to me. "What do you mean?" I asked, though I already had a sick feeling in my stomach. "Well," she said, her smile never wavering, "in this day and age, I think it's important to know for certain that the baby is truly a member of our family, that there's no confusion about paternity." The room went completely silent. "Diana," Marcus said, his voice tight, "what are you talking about?" She reached into her purse and pulled out the box. She walked to the front of the room, smiled at me, and handed it to me. "A DNA test," she said cheerfully, "so we can all be sure." I opened the box with shaking hands. Everyone was staring at me. I could feel the heat of their eyes, the judgment, the shock, the pity, and written on that note, "So we can know for sure who the real father is." I couldn't move. I couldn't speak. I just sat there, staring at that DNA test kit, feeling like the room was spinning around me. "What the hell, Mom?" Marcus stood up. His voice was loud, angry in a way I'd never heard before. "What the hell are you doing?" "I'm being practical," Diana said calmly. "You never know these days. Young women can be—" "Stop," Marcus said. "Stop right now. My wife has never given me a single reason not to trust her, not one. And you just accused her of cheating in front of everyone at our baby shower. Do you understand how insane that is?" "I'm just saying that in today's world." "No," I heard myself say. My voice was quiet, but it cut through the noise. "No, Diana, I need you to stop." Everyone looked at me. "I have been nothing but kind to you," I continued, and I could feel the tears starting. "I have listened to your stories. I have invited you to family events. I have treated you with respect. And this is how you repay that? By publicly accusing me of infidelity at my baby shower?" "I didn't mean," Diana started. "Yes, you did," I said. "You absolutely did. And I think everyone here knows it." I stood up. My hands were shaking. My heart was pounding. I felt like I might throw up. "I'm leaving," I said to Marcus. "I can't be here right now." Marcus grabbed my arm gently. Hey, don't do this. Let's talk about this." "Not here," I said. "Not now. I need to go home." I walked out of that baby shower in front of 30 people. I could feel their eyes on me. I could hear the whispers starting. I knew that by tomorrow, the story would have changed. People would be saying that I was defensive, that innocent people don't react so emotionally, that maybe Diana had a point. I was about to discover that people believe what they want to believe, and sometimes that belief can destroy a marriage. I sat in my car in the parking lot for 10 minutes before starting the engine. I couldn't breathe. I felt like I was going to have a panic attack. My pregnant belly felt heavy. My baby was moving inside me, quick, frantic movements like my stress was transferring to them. I called my OB as I drove home. I told the on-call nurse what had happened. She told me to go to the hospital if I started experiencing any unusual symptoms. She told me that stress isn't good for pregnancy, but that my baby would be okay. She told me to try to calm down. But I couldn't calm down. I was furious. I was hurt. I was humiliated. I was terrified that the seed of doubt Diana had planted was going to grow. When I got home, I sat on the couch and waited for Marcus. I sat in my car in the parking lot for 10 minutes before starting the engine. I couldn't breathe. I felt like I was going to have a panic attack. My pregnant belly felt heavy. My baby was moving inside me. Quick, frantic movements like my stress was transferring to them. I called my OB as I drove home. I told the on-call nurse what had happened. She told me to go to the hospital if I started experiencing any unusual symptoms. She told me that stress isn't good for pregnancy, but that my baby would be okay. She told me to try to calm down. But I couldn't calm down. I was furious. I was hurt. I was humiliated. I was terrified that the seed of doubt Diana had planted was going to grow. When I got home, I sat on the couch and waited for Marcus. Marcus came home an hour later. He looked exhausted, angry, confused. "I can't believe my mother did that," he said, sitting down next to me. "I have never been so ashamed of her in my life." "She thinks I cheated," I said. "She thinks the baby isn't yours." "That's insane," Marcus said. "You would never." "But what if I did?" I asked. "What if somehow in some universe I had cheated on you? Would you want to do a DNA test?" Marcus was quiet for a long moment. "No," he said finally. "I wouldn't need to. I trust you. I know you. I know you would never do that." "But your mother doesn't trust me," I said. "And now everyone at the baby shower is probably wondering. They're probably thinking that maybe she had a point, that maybe there's smoke where there's fire." "Let them think what they want," Marcus said. "I know the truth, that's what matters, but it didn't feel like that was what mattered. It felt like the truth didn't matter anymore. All that mattered was what people believed." Over the next few days, I couldn't stop thinking about Diana's accusation. And the more I thought about it, the more I realized something. Marcus's initial response had been good. He'd defended me. But he also hadn't addressed the real issue. His mother had publicly questioned whether he was the father of his own child. She had humiliated me in front of 30 people, and Marcus, while upset, seemed to want to move past it. "We should talk to her," I told Marcus one night. "We should make her apologize. We should set a boundary about what she can and can't do around the baby." "I know," Marcus said. "I'll talk to her." But he didn't. Days passed, and he didn't talk to her. When I asked him about it, he said he didn't want to make a bigger deal out of it than it already was. He said his mother probably didn't mean any harm. He said maybe I should try to see it from her perspective. "Her perspective?" I said. "Her perspective is that I'm a cheater. Her perspective is that I'm untrustworthy. Her perspective is that I'm the type of woman who would have another man's baby and pass it off as your child. You want me to see that perspective?" "That's not what she meant," Marcus said. "That's exactly what she meant," I shot back. "And you know it. You're just trying to smooth it over because it's uncomfortable to stand up to your mother." Marcus got quiet. "That's not fair," he said finally. "None of this is fair," I said. "But it's what's happening. And if you don't address it now, it's only going to get worse once the baby is born. She's going to question everything. She's going to second guess my parenting. She's going to make me feel like I'm not good enough to be this baby's mother." "I'll talk to her," Marcus promised. "I will. Just not right now, but right now was all we had. And every day that passed, with no confrontation, I felt more abandoned by my husband." The weight of doubt. Here's the thing about accusations like that. Even if your partner doesn't believe them, they change something fundamental. They plant a seed of doubt that doesn't go away. I started to wonder, what if Marcus did start questioning the paternity? What if over time, the seed his mother planted grew into something bigger? What if he started to wonder if maybe I wasn't as faithful as he thought? I began analyzing my own behavior, looking for things that could be misinterpreted. I had gone to the grocery store alone last week. What if he thought I'd met someone there? I had gone to lunch with a male colleague. What if he thought something had happened? I had received a text from an old friend. What if he thought there was something between us? I was starting to see my own life through Diana's eyes, and through that lens, everything looked suspicious. Marcus noticed my paranoia. "What's wrong?" he asked me one night when I was having trouble sleeping. "I'm scared," I admitted. "Of what?" "That you're starting to believe her, that you're starting to wonder if maybe the baby isn't yours, that you're going to wake up one day and realize you don't trust me anymore." "That's not going to happen," Marcus said, pulling me close. "I promise." But promises are easy to make. It's keeping them that's hard. I finally confronted Diana myself. I called her on a Tuesday afternoon when Marcus was at work. "Diana, I need to talk to you about what happened at the baby shower," I said. "I know you're upset," she said, her voice sweet and condescending. "But I was just trying to protect my son. You understand, don't you?" "No, I don't understand," I said. "I understand that you publicly accused me of infidelity. I understand that you humiliated me in front of my friends and family. I understand that you gave my husband a DNA test as if our baby might not be his. What I don't understand is why you felt the need to do that." "Because I love my son," Diana said, "and I want to make sure he's not being taken advantage of." "Taken advantage of?" I was shaking. "Diana, I have been faithful to your son. I have never given him a reason to doubt me. And you acted like I'm some kind of criminal." "I didn't say you were a criminal," Diana said. "I just said that in this day and age it's smart to be careful." "You implied that I'm a cheater," I said. "You implied that I would try to pass off another man's baby as your son's." "That's not being careful, Diana, that's being cruel." There was silence on the other end of the line. "I would like an apology," I continued. "I would like you to call me and tell me that you're sorry for what you did, and I would like you to apologize to Marcus as well for doubting his wife." "I'll think about it," Diana said. She never called back. "This story is absolutely insane, and it gets so much worse before it gets better." Hit like if you think Diana was completely out of line. Subscribe to Tin Tea Tales to see what happens next, and drop a comment telling me, would you ever do what Diana did? Would you ever question your daughter-in-law's faithfulness like that? This is the kind of toxicity that destroys families. I went into labor 3 weeks early. It was 2 a.m., and I woke up with sharp pains across my abdomen. My water had broken. It was time. Marcus rushed me to the hospital. We checked in. I was dilated to 4 centimeters. The doctors said it would be a long labor. Marcus held my hand through every contraction. He told me I was strong. He told me I was beautiful. He told me our baby was almost here. For those 12 hours of labor, nothing else existed. Not Diana, not the DNA test, not the doubt. Just me, Marcus, and the moment we were about to become parents. At 2:47 p.m., our daughter was born. She was perfect. 7 pounds, 3 ounces. Pink skin, dark hair. And she had Marcus's eyes. The moment I saw her, everything changed. Those first few days in the hospital were blissful. It was just me, Marcus, and our baby girl. The nurses came in regularly to check on us, but mostly, we were alone in our little bubble of new parent euphoria. We named her Emma. Marcus held her and cried. I watched him become a father, and I fell in love with him all over again. He didn't look like he was doubting her paternity. He looked like a man who was completely in love with his daughter. We went home 4 days after she was born. 2 weeks postpartum, I was still bleeding heavily and exhausted. I was struggling with sleep deprivation. I was experiencing postpartum mood swings that made me feel like I was losing my mind. And then Diana came to visit. Marcus had warned me she was coming. He'd said she wanted to meet her granddaughter. I'd agreed, even though the thought of seeing her made me anxious. She arrived with gifts: a crib bedding set, a stroller attachment, clothes in various sizes. She wanted to hold Emma. She wanted to help. I watched as she held my daughter. I watched as she looked at Emma's face, studying her features, comparing her to Marcus, looking for something. And then she said something that made my blood run cold. "She has your eyes, Marcus," Diana said. "I'm so glad about that." For a while there, I wasn't sure. Marcus laughed uncomfortably. "Mom, don't. I'm just saying I'm glad the DNA test cleared everything up," Diana continued as if Marcus hadn't spoken. My heart stopped. "What?" I said. "What DNA test?" "We never did a DNA test. Diana looked at me like I was being stupid. Yes, you did, she said. Marcus called me last week and told me he'd done the test. Said he wanted to be sure. Said the results came back and everything was fine. I looked at Marcus. Is that true? I asked quietly. Marcus wouldn't look at me. It's not a big deal, he said. It's not a big deal? I felt like I was going to throw up. You did a paternity test on our daughter without telling me? I did it to prove to my mother that Emma is mine, Marcus said. So she would stop questioning. You did it because you started to believe her, I finished. You started to doubt me. You started to doubt that Emma was yours. And instead of talking to me about it, instead of trusting me, you did a DNA test. That's not fair, Marcus said. Nothing about this is fair. I was shaking. I could feel my heart rate spiking. I felt dizzy. You said you trusted me. You said you would never question the baby. And then the first time your mother plants doubt, you go behind my back and do a test? I did it to protect us, Marcus said. To protect us. I laughed, but there was no humor in it. Or to protect yourself. To give yourself an out if you decided I wasn't good enough? That's not what this is, Marcus said. I don't care, I said. I want you out of my house, now. Diana stood up, handed Emma to me, and left. But not before smiling at me, a smile that said, I won. That night, after Emma had gone to sleep, Marcus and I sat on opposite ends of the couch and didn't talk. I didn't know what to say. I didn't know how to come back from this. He had done the DNA test, my husband, the man I'd trusted with my whole heart, the man who was supposed to have my back no matter what, had done a paternity test on our daughter, not because he actually believed I'd cheated, but because his mother's words had gotten inside his head, because he'd allowed doubt to take root, because he was weak. Why didn't you tell me? I asked finally. Because I knew you'd be upset, Marcus said. So you lied to me. I didn't lie. I just didn't tell you. Then what is it? I demanded. Because from where I'm standing, it looks like you believed your mother. You believed I was capable of cheating on you, of having another man's baby, and you did a DNA test to prove it. Marcus stood up. I'm going to take a walk, he said. We can talk about this when you calm down. Don't tell me to calm down, I said. Don't you dare tell me to calm down. I just gave birth to your daughter 2 weeks ago. I'm exhausted. I'm hormonal. I'm vulnerable. And instead of protecting me, instead of defending me, you went behind my back and did a DNA test. You made me feel like I'm not trustworthy, like I'm capable of lying to you about something as fundamental as whether this baby is yours. Marcus left the room. Diana was still sitting on the couch, holding Emma, watching the drama unfold with an expression that suggested she was enjoying it. I think you should leave, I said to her. But I just got here. That's the definition of lying, I said. Lying by omission. You made a decision about our daughter without consulting me. You questioned her paternity without telling me. You broke my trust. I didn't break your trust, Marcus said. I did the test so I could prove to my mother that you did the test because you weren't sure, I interrupted. And that's worse than if you'd just asked me directly. That's worse than if you'd had a conversation with me about your doubts. Because what you did was sneak around. You did something behind my back because you didn't trust me enough to be honest about your fears. Marcus was quiet. I've been thinking about this, I continued, and I realize now that I've been feeling this doubt for weeks, ever since Diana made that accusation. And I kept asking you to tell her off, to set a boundary to protect me from her poison, and you didn't. You let her words seep into our relationship. And then you did the DNA test, which just confirmed that maybe, just maybe, she was right to question me. That's not what I was thinking, Marcus said. Isn't it? I asked. Because that's what it feels like. It feels like you believed her. And it feels like you don't believe in me. I love you, Marcus said. That's not enough anymore, I said. Love without trust isn't love. It's something else, and I don't know if I can come back from this. Over the next week, Marcus and I barely spoke. We co-parented Emma. We fed her, changed her, bathed her together. But when it came to our relationship, we were silent. I thought about leaving. I looked up apartments in my area. I thought about telling Marcus that I wanted a separation. I thought about what it would be like to raise Emma alone. But I also couldn't stop thinking about the man Marcus had been before Diana planted that seed of doubt. I couldn't stop thinking about the way he'd held my hand during labor, the way he'd cried when Emma was born, the way he'd looked at me like I was the strongest woman he'd ever known. I wondered if it was worth fighting for. I wondered if our marriage could survive this. A week after Emma was born, I was sitting in the nursery, feeding her at 3 a.m., when Marcus came in. I couldn't sleep, he said, sitting down next to me. We sat in silence for a while. I kept feeding Emma. Marcus just watched. I did the DNA test, he said finally, because I was terrified. I looked at him. I was terrified that my mother was right. I was terrified that somehow, in some way I didn't understand, you might have been unfaithful to me. I was terrified that Emma wasn't mine. And instead of facing that terror, instead of talking to you about it, I just acted on it. I did the test to make the fear go away. And did it? I asked quietly. No, Marcus said. It made it worse. Because I realized that I'd been so willing to believe my mother over you. That I'd been so willing to doubt you. And that said something about me. It said that I didn't trust you as much as I thought I did. It said that I was weak enough to let someone else's words poison what we had. I didn't say anything. I waited for him to continue. I'm sorry, Marcus said. I'm so sorry. I broke your trust. I questioned your faithfulness when you'd never given me a reason to. I let my mother drive a wedge between us, and I did it all without talking to you about it. I was a coward. You were, I agreed. I know I can't undo it, Marcus said. But I can promise you that I will never let anyone, not my mother, not anyone, question your integrity again without standing up for you. I will never make a decision about our family without you. I will never doubt you like that again. How do I know that? I asked. How do I know that next time your mother says something, you won't go right back to believing her? You don't, Marcus said. But I'm asking you to give me the chance to prove it. I'm asking you to let me rebuild your trust. I looked at Emma, who had fallen asleep with my breast still in her mouth. I looked at Marcus, who was looking at me like he was begging for his life. I need more than words, I said. I need actions. I need you to set boundaries with your mother. I need you to make it clear that she is not welcome in our home until she apologizes for what she did. I need you to go to therapy and figure out why you were so easily swayed by her words. And I need you to understand that it's going to take time for me to trust you again. I'll do all of that, Marcus said. I'll do whatever it takes. We might also need couples therapy, I said, because I don't think I can do this alone. I don't think I can just move past this without help. Okay, Marcus said. I'll find a therapist. We'll do whatever we need to do. Marcus found a couples therapist, and we started going every week. Those first few sessions were hard. I had to talk about how betrayed I felt. I had to describe the humiliation of the baby shower. I had to relive the moment I found out he'd done the DNA test without telling me. And Marcus had to listen. He had to hear how much pain he'd caused. He had to sit with his guilt and his shame and not try to fix it or minimize it. Our therapist, Dr. Chen, helped us understand what had happened. She explained that Diana's accusation had triggered Marcus's own insecurities about whether he was good enough to be a husband and father, insecurities that had nothing to do with me, but everything to do with his relationship with his mother. Your mother has always made you feel like you need to prove yourself, Dr. Chen explained to Marcus. And when she questioned the paternity of your daughter, it triggered all of those old feelings. You felt like you needed to prove that you were a good son by listening to her. You felt like you needed to prove that you were a good father by doing the DNA test. But what you actually did was betray your wife, who had never given you any reason to doubt her. Marcus cried during that session, really cried. And for the first time since Emma was born, I felt a spark of hope that maybe we could come back from this. The hardest conversation Marcus had was with his mother. He called her and told her that she was not welcome in our home until she apologized for what she'd done at the baby shower. He told her that her behavior had been inexcusable. He told her that she had to understand that her words had consequences. Diana tried to defend herself. She said she was just trying to protect Marcus. She said she had every right to be concerned about who he was married to. She said I was overreacting. But Marcus held firm. No, he said. You don't have the right to question my wife's faithfulness. You don't have the right to humiliate her at a family event. You don't have the right to plant seeds of doubt in my mind about my own daughter. And until you apologize, genuinely apologize, you're not going to see Emma. Diana hung up on him. It took her 2 months to call back. 2 months of Marcus not seeing his mother. 2 months of family holidays being uncomfortable. 2 months of tension. When she finally called, she was crying. I'm sorry, she said. I was wrong. I shouldn't have done what I did at the baby shower. I shouldn't have given you that DNA test. I shouldn't have implied that your wife was unfaithful. I was wrong, and I'm sorry. It wasn't a perfect apology, but it was a start. Marcus asked her to apologize to me as well. She did, over the phone. It was awkward and uncomfortable, but she said the words, I'm sorry for what I did. I was wrong to question you. You've been a wonderful daughter-in-law, and you're a wonderful mother to Emma. I'm sorry. I accepted her apology. Not because I was ready to fully forgive her, but because I could see that Marcus was committed to protecting me and Emma from her toxic behavior. That meant something. It meant he'd learned his lesson. 3 months after Emma was born, Marcus and I were sitting on the couch watching her kick her legs and coo. She was starting to smile. Real, intentional smiles. I was thinking, Marcus said, about how we could have ended up. We could have gotten divorced. We could have co-parented from different houses. Emma could have grown up shuttling between her mother's place and her father's place, never understanding why her parents couldn't make it work. But we didn't, I said. But we didn't, Marcus agreed. And it's because we chose to fight for what we had, even when it was hard, even when I'd betrayed your trust, even when you had every right to walk away. I almost did, I admitted. I really did. There were days when I thought about leaving, and I thought it would be easier than trying to rebuild. What stopped you? Marcus asked. Emma, I said. I didn't want her to grow up without her father. And also, I thought about us. I thought about how good we were before your mother planted that doubt. And I thought maybe, with help, we could get back there. Are we there? Marcus asked. I thought about it. We're close, I said. We're not all the way back, but we're close. I still feel hurt when I think about the DNA test. I still feel betrayed when I remember that you didn't tell me. But I'm starting to believe that you didn't do it because you didn't love me. You did it because you were scared and weak, and you let your mother get inside your head. I was all of those things, Marcus said. I still am sometimes. But I'm trying to be better. I know you are, I said. And that's enough for me. For now, that's enough. Emma smiled at us, a big, gummy smile that made our hearts melt. Look at that, Marcus said. Our daughter is smiling at us. Even though her parents nearly fell apart because of one person's toxic behavior, she's smiling like none of it matters. Maybe she knows something we don't, I said. By the time Emma turned 1, our marriage had healed significantly. We still went to therapy, but not as frequently. We still had moments where I felt residual hurt from what had happened, but those moments were becoming less common. Diana was allowed back into our lives with very clear boundaries. She was allowed to visit, but only when Marcus was home. She was not allowed to make any comments about Emma's paternity or my faithfulness. She was not allowed to speak negatively about me in front of Emma, and if she violated any of these boundaries, she would be cut off immediately. She followed the rules. I don't know if it was because she genuinely understood the damage she'd caused or because she was terrified of losing access to Emma. Either way, she changed her behavior. Marcus became a father who was fiercely protective of his family. He stood up to his mother. He stood up for me. He made it clear that we were his priority, and anyone who tried to come between us would face consequences. And I became a mother who knew her worth. I stopped doubting myself. I stopped wondering if maybe Diana had been right about me. I stopped looking for evidence of my own faithlessness. I knew who I was, and I knew I was trustworthy. If you've ever experienced doubt from a partner because of someone else's toxicity, react now. Use the emoji reactions or tell me in the comments what you would have done in my situation. Subscribe to Tinty Tales so you never miss a story like this. and share this with someone you know who needs to hear that your worth is not determined by anyone else's opinion. This is far from over. The real message is coming. Marriage is not just about love. Love is the foundation, but it's not enough. Marriage is about trust. It's about communication. It's about standing together against the world, even when the world includes people you're supposed to love unconditionally. What happened with Marcus and me could have destroyed us, but instead, it became the catalyst for us to build something stronger. It became the moment we learned what we were truly capable of being hurt, capable of making mistakes, but also capable of asking for help and doing the hard work of healing. I learned that betrayal doesn't have to mean the end. It can mean the beginning of something deeper. It can mean the beginning of real trust. Not the naive kind of trust where you never question anything, but the kind of trust you build intentionally, brick by brick, after you've been broken and put yourselves back together. Not all family deserves access to your life. This is something I had to learn the hard way. I'd been raised with the idea that family is sacred, that you're supposed to overlook bad behavior from family members because they're blood, that you're supposed to forgive them no matter what they do. But Diana's behavior taught me that blood doesn't entitle anyone to hurt you. Blood doesn't mean they get to plant seeds of doubt in your marriage. Blood doesn't mean they get to humiliate you publicly without consequences. Setting boundaries with Diana was one of the hardest things I've ever done, but it was also one of the most important, because it sent a message to my family that I have value, that my feelings matter, that I will not tolerate being disrespected. And it actually strengthened my relationship with Diana in a weird way, because once she understood that her behavior had consequences, once she understood that she had to treat me with respect if she wanted to be in Emma's life, she actually made an effort to be better. Becoming a mother changed me. It made me stronger. It made me more protective of myself. It made me understand that the example I set for Emma is crucial. If I let people walk all over me, Emma will learn to do the same. If I stand up for myself, Emma will learn to value herself. I never want Emma to doubt her own worth. I never want her to question her own faithfulness. I never want her to believe that someone else's opinions about her character are more valid than her own knowledge of herself. I want her to grow up believing that she is trustworthy, that she is valuable, that she deserves to be treated with respect and kindness. And the only way I can teach her that is by modeling it, by standing up for myself when people disrespect me, by not accepting less than I deserve. I learned that I'm stronger than I thought. I learned that I can survive betrayal from the people I love most. I learned that I can ask for help without it meaning I'm weak. I learned that healing is not linear. It's messy and complicated, and sometimes you take steps backward. But I also learned that I'm worth fighting for, that my marriage is worth fighting for, that my mental health is worth prioritizing, that my voice matters and I should never, ever let anyone silence it. Not even the people I love. Emma is 3 years old now. She's a smart, funny, confident little girl. She has her father's eyes and her mother's stubbornness. She's thriving. Marcus is a hands-on father. He reads to her every night. He takes her to the park on weekends. He's the kind of dad that makes my heart melt when I watch them together. Our marriage is strong. We still go to therapy every other month, not because we're in crisis, but because we're committed to continuous growth. We still have moments where the past comes up, but we handle it with maturity and communication. And Diana? She's a present grandmother. She shows up for Emma's birthdays and holidays. She sends care packages. She never crosses the lines that were set. Has she apologized profusely for what she did? No. But she respects our boundaries, and that's enough. If you're watching this and you're in a marriage or relationship where you're experiencing doubt planted by someone else's words, I want you to know something. You don't have to accept it. You don't have to let someone else's insecurity or toxicity become your problem. If you're the one planting seeds of doubt in your partner's mind, I want you to know that it has consequences. It destroys trust. It damages marriages. It hurts people who don't deserve to be hurt. And if you're the one being doubted by your partner because of someone else's words, I want you to know that you can come back from it. It's hard. It's painful, but it's possible. You can rebuild. You can heal. You can create something stronger than what you had before. The real story is not about Diana giving me a DNA test at the baby shower. The real story is about what happened after. It's about a marriage that had to go through fire to become stronger. It's about a husband who had to choose between his mother's doubt and his wife's truth. It's about a woman who had to believe in herself even when the people she loved didn't. The DNA test was just the catalyst. The real story is about resilience. It's about forgiveness. It's about the hard work of staying when it would be easier to leave. If your family member is behaving like Diana, it's not your fault. It's not a reflection of who you are. It's a reflection of their own pain, their own insecurity, their own broken places. You cannot fix them. You can only protect yourself, set boundaries, enforce consequences. Make it clear that their behavior is not acceptable. And if your partner is struggling to stand up to their toxic family member, give them grace, give them time, but also make it clear that you deserve to be protected. Make it clear that your marriage matters more than keeping peace with people who don't respect you. It's a story about a DNA test, but it's really a story about the power of choice. The power to choose your marriage, the power to choose your worth, the power to choose healing over bitterness. Like this video if you believe marriages can survive toxicity. Subscribe to Tin Tea Tales for more real emotional stories. Turn on notifications so you never miss a story. Comment your truth. Tell me, have you ever had to set boundaries with a toxic family member? Tell me in the comments below. I read every single one. If you're experiencing family toxicity or relationship doubt, please reach out to a therapist or counselor. Your mental health matters. Your marriage matters. You matter. Thank you for being part of the Tin Tea Tales community. Your support, your comments, your shares, they mean everything. Until next time, remember, you are worthy of love, you are worthy of respect, and you deserve better than doubt.